ค่ะก็สวัสดีผู้เข้าร่วมอบรมทุกท่านนะคะในวันนี้นะคะก็ทางสำนักพิมพ์ Elsevier นะคะก็ได้จัดการอบรมออนไลน์นะคะในหัวข้อ Elsevier Author Workshop Thailand นะคะโดยหัวข้อในสำหรับการอบรมในวันนี้นะคะก็จะประกอบไปด้วย Thailand and Academic Publishing นะคะ Elsevier Content Type Journal Publishing Book Publishing Elsevier Content Type แล้วก็ Journal Publishing ขออภัยนะคะน่าจะพูดซ้ำนะคะโดยท่านวิทยากรนะคะที่จะมาบรรยายในวันนี้นะคะก็จะเป็นคุณโจสลินพากิโอนะคะSenior Acquisition Editor Neuroscience ขออภัยค่ะNeuroscience and Psychology Elsevier นะคะและดร.ยุทธพงศ์กลิ่นธงชัยนะคะElsevier Consultant Thailand นะคะก็สำหรับการอบรมในวันนี้นะคะก็จะเป็นการบรรยายภาษาอังกฤษนะคะแล้วก็หากผู้เข้าร่วมการอบรมนะคะมีคำถามนะคะก็สามารถที่จะพิมพ์มาฝากไว้ในช่องแชทได้นะคะแล้วก็การอบรมในวันนี้เนี่ยสามารถรับชมย้อนหลังผ่านทาง YouTube ของสำนักหอสมุดกลางได้ด้วยนะคะก็ก่อนอื่นนะคะเดี๋ยวขออนุญาตแนะนำในส่วนของฐานข้อมูลออนไลน์ของสำนักหอสมุดกลางให้ทุกท่านทราบข้อมูลนะคะในเบื้องต้นนะคะก็สำหรับผลิตภัณฑ์ของ Elsevier นะคะทางห้องสมุดเนี่ยก็มีการบอกรับฐานข้อมูลต่างๆมากมายนะคะโดยอาจารย์บุคลากรแล้วก็นิสิตมศวเนี่ยสามารถเข้าใช้บริการนะคะผ่านเครื่องมือนะคะ 𝗘𝗹𝘀𝗃𝗃 ตรงนี้นะคะโดยเป็นการ sign in นะคะด้วยโบสี ID ก็จะสามารถเข้าใช้ฐานข้อมูลที่ห้องสมุดบอกรับได้ทั้งหมดเลยนะคะหรือว่าสามารถเข้าผ่านเมนูฐานข้อมูลออนไลน์นะคะ Database ตรงนี้นะคะก็จะมีรายชื่อฐานข้อมูลที่ห้องสมุดบอกรับทั้งหมดนะคะโดยสามารถเลือกเข้าใช้ตามคณะหรือว่าเลือกที่ All Database เพื่อดูรายชื่อฐานข้อมูลทั้งหมดได้เลยนะคะสำหรับฐานข้อมูลของ Elsevier นะคะก็มีที่ห้องสมุดบอกรับนะคะก็จะมีหลายฐานนะคะอย่างเช่น ScienceDirect นะคะทั้งเป็น ScienceDirect e-book แล้วก็ ScienceDirect e-journal นะคะรวมถึงกอปัดนะคะแล้วก็เครื่องมือจัดการบรรณานุกรมเมนเดเลย์ด้วยนะคะที่จะเป็นเครื่องมือสำหรับช่วยในการค้นคว้าวิจัยนะคะต่างๆนะคะก็ในเบื้องต้นของห้องสมุดนะคะก็จะแนะนำบริการนะคะหลักๆประมาณนี้นะคะก็เดี๋ยวขอเรียนเชิญนะคะท่านวิทยากรนะคะทั้งสองท่านเริ่มการอบรมในวันนี้ได้เลยค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
ครับก็ขอบคุณมากครับคุณจอยครับก็กราบสวัสดีทุกท่านนะครับก็กับผมนะครับดร.ยุทธพงศ์เกษธงชัยนะครับเป็น Customer Consultant จาก Elsevier นะครับผมก็จะดูแลในส่วนของ ScienceDirect แล้วก็ ScienceDirect แล้วก็ Mendeley เป็นหลักนะครับก็เดี๋ยวผมจะขออนุญาตนะครับแนะนำนะครับ Editor ของเรานะครับแต่อาจจะพูดเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะครับใครก็ตามนะครับที่สงสัยตรงไหนนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นเกี่ยวกับอะไรเกี่ยวกับการตีพิมพ์หรือว่าเกี่ยวกับหนังสือหรือว่าวารสารนะครับก็อาจจะสอบถามในทางด้านภาษาไทยและก็ภาษาอังกฤษนะครับเพราะว่าอีดิเตอร์ของเราเนี่ยท่านก็สามารถพูดได้ทั้งภาษาไทยและภาษาอังกฤษนะครับแต่ว่าพอดีท่านก็โตที่ในส่วนของจากต่างประเทศนะครับก็อาจจะมีความถนัดในด้านภาษาอังกฤษมากกว่าแต่ก็สามารถที่จะพูดคุยนะครับในส่วนของภาษาไทยภาษาอังกฤษถ้าใครมีคำถามนะครับสามารถถามช่วงสุดท้ายนะครับผมก็ so good morning everyone my name is Dr. Yoottapong 𝗘𝗃𝗀𝘃𝗵cie so I am a customer consultant in Thailand so I would like to introduce our senior editor she is JOSLYN 𝗘𝗹𝘀𝗃𝗵cie she is the senior acquisition editor responsible for the science title in psychology and neuroscience at Elsevier. Her focus includes social development and clinical psychology as well as translational neuroscience. JOSLYN has 15 years for publishing experience in the variety of law converting multiple product types. She is well respected by her authors, editors, and peers for her proven track records of success publications and strong relationship with researchers and clinicians. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in English or Thai about like publishing in journals or book for psychologists and neuroscience. So the floor is yours, พี่จอยส์ลินครับโอเคเรียนเชิญครับ turn on your mic.
Sawadika tukon, thank you for having me here today. Thank you very much for that introduction. As my colleague mentioned that I will be presenting in English, but I do understand Thai, but I did grow up in the US. So please be patient with my Thai because it's a little rusty a little bit, but I do understand. So I'm going to start the presentation now. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and stop my video for this one. Let me see here. So as we ran through the agenda today, the first topic of discussion is going to be Thailand and academic publishing. Next, we're going to cover Elsevier and content types, then journal publishing, book publishing, foundational content, and then ScienceDirect and topic pages. So let's begin with a look at Thailand specifically and academic publishing. So Thailand has an impressive academic presence. In research from 2018 to 2023, Thailand boasts over 127,000 scholarly articles by over 103 authors. And these articles received over 870,000 citations. In the wheel to the right, you can see, let's mute. Oops, go back a little bit. In the wheel to the right, you can see many areas of academic publishing that Thai authors tackle each year. The top subject area are medicine at 24.6%, engineering at 19.3%, and computer science at 13.7%. So now let's take a closer look at the university itself. See, Nakarin-Wiwat University contributes heavily to the academic presence. The university is the 16th largest contributor of scholarly output of all universities in the country. In research from 2018 to 2023, the university contributed nearly 2,000 scholarly articles by over 1,700 authors, and these articles received over nearly 12,000 citations. The wheel on the slideshow shows the areas of academic publishing that the university contributes to. These impressive numbers are something to be very proud of. The relationship between Thai authors and Elsevier continues to grow. The chart on the left shows the tremendous growth we shared together from 2013. We have seen over 2,400 Thai authors and editors and over 1,700 Thai authored chapters in over 800 books. We would like to continue to grow this partnership in the coming years. In this chart, you can see some of the subject areas of publication from Thailand with Elsevier. You can see the top 5 areas on the right-hand side of the screen. But all areas of the chart are in demand and ready for partnership with you. So now I'm going to give an overview of the various content types Elsevier publishes. With regards to all books as the knowledge of respiratory for which we learn, and you will see this below the pyramid at the bottom of the slide. Major reference works are positioned at the base of our pyramid. These products provide comprehensive foundational introductions to a discipline area. They are presented as encyclopedias or reference modules. As you glance up the pyramid, next you will see textbooks. These provide a pedagogical examination of the subject area's concepts and methods. Textbooks provide the knowledge required when studying for a discipline. One level above textbooks are handbooks. These tend to compile data sets, methods, processes, and techniques specific to a particular field and often provide quick answers on the job. Next are monographs and single volume references, which include both authored and edited works. These titles are comprehensive and show advanced and detailed descriptions for in-depth coverage and specific areas. Next are serials. These are highly cited publications that offer an in-depth look of the latest developments in a particular field. Finally, at the tip of the pyramid, you will see journal review articles and primary research, which need to contain the most recent advances in the field. All of these formats work together to answer the questions of researchers and students along their learning journey. And when considering authoring, you should consider which type of content you want to pursue. So books and journals. Books and journals each provide their own unique type of content. However, they are fundamentally interlinked and work together to provide researchers, students, and clinicians the knowledge they need. Looking at this slide, journal article content provides the depth and growing discipline. It provides specialized knowledge in a distinct area. It has a very narrow focus, and it goes into extreme depth of coverage of a topic. It will also focus on very latest research and new results. All of this is important to researchers and students. Book content, on the other hand, provides breadth in connecting disciplines together. It provides a broad view of topics. It also allows the expert opinions of multiple foundational topics, and the complexity of differing opinions can all be collated into one resource. Finally, books have the ability to provide related fields, methods, and materials all in one place. All of this is equally important to researchers and students. So what does this mean? Very simply, researchers and students need both types of content to build the complete knowledge of a topic area. One cannot replace the other. You might be asking yourself now, which format would be suitable for my content, books or journals? But let's break each of them down. Journals, again, contains the in-depth knowledge, as we talked about. So this way, with journals, you get topic-focused, it's in-depth discussions, and usually focuses on research and new research and recent findings. Again, books, on the other hand, combine all of that knowledge together in a broad perspective and also are used as learning tools. So now we're going to focus on journal publishing. This slide is great, and it also has a QR code at the bottom if you need to access the link. But to kind of give you a broad review, Elsevier journals articles account for 18% of global research output and 28% of the citations. We work with 32,000 editors and 1.4 million reviewers across the world. Since the year 2000, more than 99% of Nobel laureates in science have published with Elsevier journals. And we publish journals in physical science, engineering, health, life science, and social science. So that means we cover the whole entire breadth of science and clinical research. And if you're interested, at the bottom, there is, I'm not sure if this is covering. Let's see if I can. But that QR code will give you a link to the Elsevier journals. This slide here kind of goes over the gold access, the different tiers of our journals. So we have 700 plus gold open access journals. In 2022, we launched 88 new journals, of which 93% are gold access. And we're continuing to grow that number. Around 2.8 thousand journals that enable open access. One of our fastest growing open access publishers in the world, we enable nearly all of our journals to offer open access publishing. And in 2022, Elsevier published over 150,000 open access articles, a year-on-year increase of over 26%. And we are continuing to grow that number as we move forward. So after that broad review, we're going to talk about more in depth about how to choose a journal when you are ready to submit your article or review article for submission. So in looking for which journal to submit your content to, it can be daunting. Elsevier published again over 2,600 journals. Each have their own specialty. To start, I suggest logging onto Elsevier's Journal Finder, which uses smart technology to help match your article with the best matched Elsevier journal. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see some tips, and I'll go over these with you. When considering a journal, review the aims and scopes. The aims and scopes is where you will find the journal's main objectives and a list of topics they cover. Also confirm if you can submit to the journal, as some journals are invitation only, and some have very specific requirements. Also, utilize the journal's metrics and journal insights to better understand the impact of the journal. That includes the speed and its reach. Remember, if you are a postdoc considering submission, check out Elsevier's postdoc free access program. So now there are various types of manuscripts that suit different purposes, and we're going to kind of go through a few of them here. So the first one, full articles, are the most frequent types. These are often substantial, complete, and comprehensive pieces of research that are very significant. Letters or short communications are quick and early communications of significance, original advances. These tend to be much more brief than full articles. Review papers. Review papers summarize recent developments on specific topics, highlighting important points that have been previously reported and introducing no new information. These are often submitted after invitation by an editor. Before selecting an article type for your manuscript, you should first ask yourself to self-evaluate your work and ask yourself the following questions. Is my message sufficient for a full article? Are my results so thrilling that they should be shown as soon as possible in a short communication? Oftentimes, your supervisor or colleagues are good resources as well for advice on manuscript types. Sometimes outsiders can see the situation more clearly than you can. So there are certain characteristics for an effective title, and we're going to go through some of them today. They should attract the reader's attention, contain the fewest words possible, be specific, and directly reflect the content of your manuscript, be informative and concise, and the title should not include technical jargon or abbreviation. Use formal language. It is advisable to discuss the title with your co-authors first. Remember, editors and reviewers don't like titles that make no sense or fail to represent the subject area adequately. And maybe even more important, you want the appropriate audience to read your paper. If the title isn't accurate, the right people may not read it, and the community might not be aware of your work. This could even lead to lower citations than the paper deserves. Keywords. Keywords are the labels or tags for your manuscript and help with online searches, as these are used by indexing and abstracting services that direct readers to your abstract and then to your manuscript. Effective keywords should be specific enough to give someone a very quick idea about the content of your paper. Try to avoid words that have broad meanings or abbreviations unless they are firmly established. So for the abstract, people will read your abstract to see if they want to read your manuscript, so make it clear and engaging. Try to avoid gimmicks and verbosity. The reference list is where you cite the main scientific publication on which you base your work. Some tips on having proper reference list are: don't include too many references, especially if they are only tangentially related to your work. Always ensure that you have fully absorbed and understood the material you are referencing, and do not just rely on reading excerpts or isolated sentences. Know what you're referencing. Avoid excessive self-citation of your own work or from a single region, publication, or institution. Also, check the guide for authors to ensure proper formatting. Presentation in correct format is the responsibility of the author, not the editor. Make the editors work easily, and they will appreciate the effort. Also, take note that many journals require a conflict of interest statement to be placed before the reference section. Please do be honest about your disclosures you may have, so you don't end up in hot water later. So this slide is a great slide because it kind of sums up everything that we talked about, but also gives you a quick guide to publishing. So there is a link at the bottom, and I believe that these slides will be sent to you later on. But this link here will give you additional resources to understanding this quick guide. And most of the information in here is relatable to all journals. So you'll have that information here, but this is just a quick guide that is great for you to have reference for future referencing when you're going to submit or considering submission of your manuscript. So now we're going to talk about book publishing. Due to the use of machine learning and AI aiding in the discoverability of book content, books are now used more widely, harnessed more accurately, and accessed faster than ever before. So the first thing to consider when you're wanting to, if they're either authoring or editing a book, there are two roles, editor and an author, and we're going to go through the differences between the two. Authoring means that you'll be writing the work, every word of the work from cover to cover. Editing, on the other hand, means that you'll be managing the manuscript, which will have individual chapter contributors. There are some distinctions between these two workflows, but I'm going to start by highlighting their similarities. Both editors and authors should be known and respected experts in the field, able to identify a market need that includes clear understanding on the subject matter and a targeted audience for whom the content is for, able to plan the scope of the content to ensure all needs of the markets are met. They are both supported by Elsevier's in-house staff throughout the entire publishing process, allowing them to produce a high-quality end product. And finally, both are paid by the publisher in a form of a royalty. Now, the differences. Volume editors manage chapter contributors. Volume editors are expected to design the table of contents of the book comprehensively, fully covering the subject area. They need to secure all the individual chapter authors, and they need to perform an overall scientific editorial review of each individual chapter. Next, the chapter authors, those that contribute chapters to a volume editor. Chapter authors will work closely with the volume editor to plan chapter coverage, avoiding overlaps and gaps. They are expected to write between 7,000 to 10,000 words in 6 months. There is no payment to the chapter authors, but also no fees to pay. Finally, volume authors, writing from cover to cover. Volume authors are expected to write at least 100,000 words in about a year's time. They need to deliver a well-referenced manuscript. The manuscript needs to explain the science and how to apply it. And it's also important for volume authors to have the interdisciplinary expertise. This allows them to deliver content for readers of varied backgrounds. Deciding which one of these workflows work best for your time, experience, and capability will have an impact on the successfulness of your experience. Now that you know the workflow that best fits the need, let's talk about the book proposal. So the first step in book proposal is the book proposal. The proposal is a writing process, but it's not intended to be a daunting process. It just gives us a good idea of what to expect. A standard book proposal will usually cover 7 key topics. The title. You want your topic, your title to be your topic to be broad enough to attract a large audience, but not so popular that the market is saturated with publications. Carefully select your topic and find the title that succinctly summarizes it using keywords. The subject and market needs. Take time to discuss the need of your book. Will fill in the market. Address any information gaps of your target audience and explain how your publication will solve these gaps. Your author credentials. What is it about you that makes you appropriate for the subject matter of this book? Credentials are important here, but so is your motivation. What is your story? Your intended audience and its needs. Know your audience and tailor your content and features of the book to address the needs of the audience. Trying to make a general book that appeals to everyone is not ideal. This approach always falls short. It is better to target a group and meet their needs fully. Geography. Where will this topic sell best in the world and why? Are there geographic limitations to the audience? What are they and what might be done to increase international appeal? Competition. Are you aware of any recent publications or manuscripts in the preparation that are likely to compete with your proposed title? Include the strengths and weaknesses of these titles, as well as how your title will be different and or better. Finally, the manuscript specification and timelines. How many pages do you anticipate? The number of figures, if you will need color, or will they be in black and white? And how long will you take to write and compile? A high quality proposal makes the review process go much more quickly and minimizes the need for queries and multiple rounds of edits. The more effort you put into your proposal up front, the more likely it is to be accepted. So at this point, you have a great proposal. How do you find the right publisher? First, read books or research new titles to find publishers with books on topics similar to your idea. In addition, you can discuss with colleagues to find out where they publish and which publisher they consider to be reputable. Don't be afraid to scan the reference list of a book that you're used to, where you find researchers in your area tend to publish. Also ask publishers about their global distribution strategy. Where are their efforts located? What is the distribution strategy in third world countries? What percentage of their books are translated? Finally, with academic publishers now producing ebook versions of text, consider the publisher's electronic strategy. Online presence allows your content to be more discoverable and reach a larger audience. When done with your proposal, be sure to make a strategic choice of where to send it. So now that you know the workflow, let's talk about the actual book proposal process. During this stage, the book proposal process goes through several phases. The first, the proposal is submitted to an acquisitions editor like myself. I will usually review the manuscript, the proposal, to ensure that if I have any questions or queries or any concerns I might have before it goes into external review. Once I'm satisfied with the proposal, then I'll send it out for external review. Peer review can take anywhere from 2 weeks or more. And during this time, myself, the acquisition editor, solicits reviews from markets which are then compiled. I will then create an editorial analysis with highlighted requests for changes in the scope of the content if it's needed. After editorial analysis is then is reviewed with you as the author and editor, the proposal is revised if needed. When both parties are happy with the proposal, the content of the book is formally proposed to the publisher and then finally approved. So that concludes the book publishing process. And now we're going to talk about foundational content, which combines both of our products succinctly together. So you might be asking yourself, now, what is foundational content, since we talked about books and journals? So foundational content provides a fundamental base of knowledge and practice necessary to understand and apply a key topic, subject within a field or discipline. Simply speaking, foundational content is content that can be used by students, teachers, researchers, and professionals to teach, learn, and understand And we are working to make sure that our products, both books and journals, meet these goals. So one of our many goals at Elsevier is to help support learning and research at every step. This includes from the start as a student level to all the way to established researchers and clinicians. This great figure explains us step-by-step on how our content can move and grow with researchers and clinicians throughout their career. Starting at the first step, we understand that students, their goal is to learn and focus on understanding the fundamental concepts, processes, and applications. And to aid with that, our textbooks, encyclopedias are developed with this primary goal in mind. The second step for advanced students, PhD students, the knowledge base begins to change. And now the goal is to get quickly up to speed in subject areas, including learning interdisciplinary subject areas. Both our journals and books are used to help aid in this goal. Our journals provide quick access to needed answers, and our specific book topics also provide the same. The third step in the career model focuses on postdocs and early researchers. For this step in the career, most are looking for answers to specific questions and possible refresh to their knowledge. Our products, both books and journals, help meet these needs with specific reference and clinical books to help answer these specific questions, providing practical references to walk you through processes and providing specific case studies to help aid with patient diagnosis and treatment. The fourth step in this career timeline are for our established researchers. This group are more focused on building new connections and staying current with subject areas, which rely mostly on reference books, including our serials and series handbooks and journal articles, which are more fast-paced and provide an updated reference. Tailored for coursework, education, and learning, our foundational content from ScienceDirect, which includes both books and journals, enables understanding basic concepts and consolidating interdisciplinary knowledge to formulating ideas and writing papers and back again. This slide shows impressive stats for ScienceDirect, with over 250 textbooks providing all students with immense coverage of a common course, many featuring specific pedagogy and ancillaries to further support learning. ScienceDirect also contains over 200 major reference works, encyclopedias, which help continue to build foundational knowledge in all fields and also supports interdisciplinary research. We also have over 710 text and reference hybrids and also 35,000 reference books. Both help provide foundational knowledge and in-depth context. Many books featuring rich content providing a layer of complement for our more advanced content. At the bottom of the slide, we also have some ScienceDirect topics, stats, which is now part of our ScienceDirect platform. ScienceDirect topics are a free topic page that provides readers with comprehensive database and reliable backlink and contextual knowledge, making it easy to get up to speed with new and unfamiliar concepts. Their goal is to connect students and researchers to summarize knowledge and act as a discovery tool for further trusted reading. This makes for an ideal environment for intuitive learning and sparking creativity. Later in the presentation, you'll hear more review of the topics. So again, we've mentioned ScienceDirect, and I kind of now want to go talk about how ScienceDirect can help. One example, the ScienceDirect we take all the types of content that we've discussed, major reference works, journals, ebooks, monographs, serials, series, and handbooks, and apply machine learning and artificial intelligence to find exact answers that researchers are looking for. Students have shown that the use of ScienceDirect shortens the research process and saving them an average of 47 minutes a day. ScienceDirect is constantly evolving, and one way we ensure our users' needs are met is through topic pages. Many of you might be familiar with ScienceDirect, but I wanted to review quickly the benefits for students. Students can utilize ScienceDirect's multiple search fields and filters to help find suggested publications or filter for open access and open archive content. Now, let's say you want to understand a unfamiliar term or concept. So if you see from this screen here and these two screenshots, this is an article in the Neuroscience, and this term amygdala is highlighted. So let's say you're a student and you're trying to understand, a basic student, to understand what the amygdala is. So if you click on the term amygdala, you will immediately be directed to the topic page. And this is a screenshot of what the topic page looks like. Topic pages are ideal for students. They are tailored to the workflow of novice researchers and provide an accessible on-ramp into advanced science texts by serving the most relevant content in digestible amounts. It encourages the use of credible, authoritative, and citable material. So while looking at this screen here, this screenshot, you're going to see the amygdala as I just mentioned. It's from an actual source, so you'll see from the actual citation source here. You'll see also related terms here at the side, where these topics and these terms are related to the amygdala. And if you click on any of these terms here, you'll be directed to another topic page. And in this white part here, you'll be given various different reference and sources. So the amygdala is this one from the Human Nervous System, the 3rd edition. And then again, another source here. And if you continue to scroll down, you'll see sources from books and both journals. And if you click on any of these references, you'll be directed again back to the article or the book chapter that it's being pulled from. And if you go back to this the left side of the screen, you'll see other terms that are highlighted in blue. And any of these titles, terms that are highlighted in blue, if you click on them, you'll also be directed to another topic page as well. And the topic pages are ever evolving. As you can see here, topic pages meet student needs. They're also integrated into Google. So most of the times, if you ask any student, even myself, where I find answers to questions, I'll say I Google it, even though I do work for Elsevier. But with Google, it's a pretty easy interface. And so students will type in their questions or a term through Google, and instantly we have integrated our ScienceDirect topic pages within Google interface. So you can see here, if they were to type in polarization resistance in the search field, they'll be directed into this. And right there, you'll see ScienceDirect topics. By clicking on that link, you'll be directed to a topic page. Topics are also ideal for faculty and with helping finding relevant content for online course material, and you can also add topic pages, links to course packs for further reading. As I mentioned, topic pages are now fully embedded into ScienceDirect, helping to make content more discoverable and accessible. To review, we have over 330,000 topic pages across 20 subject areas, hyperlinked from 5.8 million journal articles, with an average of 23 million visits a month, helping it to become the second most trafficked on ScienceDirect after journal articles, and accounts for 17% of all traffic on ScienceDirect. Ultimately, science is interdisciplinary, and learning starts with the fundamentals. This figure shows how integrated both journals and books are, and the co-usage visits through both. The graph on the right-hand corner perfectly sums up the relation between all three, books, journals, and ScienceDirect, in the resulting factor of topic pages. So this slide here just provides some useful links for you as a reference point. My email address is at the top. You can contact me with any questions that you might have after this presentation. As my colleagues have mentioned, I have worked in books, but I've worked in publishing for 15 years. I started my career in journals, so I am aware of how the journals works, and I can definitely direct you and help guide you through. The second link is for journals, just in case if you are interested in submitting your paper or learning more about how to submit your paper, that is a link there. For books, if you're interested in authoring or finding some more information about books, as a book author, you can click on that link there. There's also a link for proposal templates if you're ever interested in submitting a proposal to us. And I've also provided a link for our ScienceDirect topic pages. Dan, thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them now.
Could you go to the next slide for the survey, please, Peter?
Yes, I will.
ครับตอนนี้ก็ใครมีคำถามอะไรนะครับ so you have any questions so we can ask now ใครตอนนี้มีคำถามอะไรก็สามารถถามได้ทั้งภาษาไทยนะครับแล้วก็ภาษาอังกฤษเลยนะครับก็เดี๋ยวอาจจะให้วิทยากรนะครับเป็นคนถามเป็นคนตอบเบื้องต้นนะครับก็ผมอาจจะระหว่างนี้นะครับใครกำลังคิดคำถามนะผมอาจจะมีคำถามนะครับถามพี่จอยสลินนะครับผมถามภาษาไทยได้ใช่ไหมฮะเพื่อให้คนฟังได้เข้าใจโอเคครับพี่จอยสลินก็นะครับเบื้องต้นนะครับก็ขอขอบพระคุณมากนะครับที่วันนี้มาทำการพูดเกี่ยวกับการตีพิมพ์ครับทางหนังสือแล้วก็วารสารนะครับเบื้องต้นนะครับคำถามที่อาจจะเป็นคำถามอันนี้อาจจะไม่ได้เตรียมกันมาก่อนนะครับแต่ว่าผมว่าเป็นคำถามที่ทุกคนอาจจะสนใจนะครับก็อาจจะสอบถามเกี่ยวกับข้อควรระวังในการส่งการตีพิมพ์พอจะแนะนำได้ไหมครับว่าสิ่งที่เราต้องระวังแบบเว็บไซต์ปลอม predatory journal หรือว่าเป็นอื่นๆที่เราต้องระวังพอจะมีแนะนำบ้างไหมครับ
You know, to look at journals, I definitely would suggest to when considering a journal, definitely look at specific journals. There are multiple journals out there, a lot of journals out there, and not just with Elsevier, multiple publishers. And you definitely want to make sure that the main thing is make sure that your content, your manuscript and your research meets the needs of your audience. So carefully consider your audience when looking at that. So if let's say for your manuscript, for specifically my portfolio, I look at neuroscience. So is your manuscript or is your research for clinicians or for doctors? Or do you think your research is for researchers who are researching animal models and things like that? If it's for researchers, you want to make sure that you go to a journal that is specifically for researchers. That's going to be your best audience, because if you were to submit to a clinical work, they might not understand your research. They might not know how to apply your research unless you are including information on how to apply your research. Then I would suggest submitting to a clinical journal. But they have varying degrees of specification. So you want to make sure. The other thing you want to be very careful of is references. A lot of the times now with AI and a lot of different ChatGPT and all these different sources, you want to be very careful on how, because a lot of our publishers and our publishing team now is aware of different sources and different things. So you want to make sure that you source your references correctly. Definitely check the reference guide for authors. Make sure that your references meet that. Make sure that you also, as I mention your conflict of interest. If you have any conflicts of interest, you want to be upfront with them. Even though if you don't think that they might be a conflict of interest, still put it in, because the editors will let you know whether or not that is a conflict of interest. The other thing you want to do is also, if you have any, I would also recommend the fact that, understandably, if you are submitting to a more English-speaking or language, there are language services that Elsevier provides. So don't be deterred, if your manuscript doesn't meet certain English qualifications. We do have English language services that can help, edit the manuscript as needed. So we do have those available as well. As you can see from the university and your glowing stats, there is a high number of research and very high quality research coming out from the university. So I do, encourage that, but definitely check the journals and make sure that it's a good fit for you. You don't want to just submit to any journal. And a lot of the times now, there are journals that are paid for, so you'll have to pay for submission. And a lot of times that's the access that it is. Even Elsevier has that as well. So you want to make sure if you are, paying to submit, that it is the right fit for you. And if you have any questions, always contact the editorial, office. Every journal has a journal manager. And if you click on each journal page, there will be contact information on there. So feel free to submit your question to them before submitting your manuscript. You can always say, I'm considering your journal. This is the abstract. And here is the title of my work. Would it be applicable to this journal, or would you recommend some other journal? And usually the journal manager will then send it along to the editor to review, and then they will give you some comments back based on that. So feel free to use that option as well to contact the journal manager. We are here to help, and we are here, as editorial staff, we are here to help and guide you through that editorial process.
So thank you so much for your answer. But I'm keen to know, do we have to be careful to select the reference in our manuscript, right?
The manuscript, yes, you want to carefully select your references. You don't want to overuse references. That's the thing. A lot of the times we do see journal articles, and when you look at the guide for authors, there might be a limit to how many references you can submit. Some of them have started to limit the number of references. So you want to make sure that you select the correct reference and you also cite it correctly. Many times references, you can definitely check on them. The way to check those references is to go on, you can use your university library portal, or you can use ScienceDirect as well and check on those references. There is a DOI number for all articles. If you click on that, it will give you, it will direct you to the publisher that has published the article. I would definitely suggest by clicking all of those DOIs before you submit your article, just to make sure that those references are correct, they've been cited correctly, and they are of the top resource. Because if you are limited in references, you don't want to cite just any resource. You want to make sure it is the most accurate and the most used resource possible.
Thank you ครับก็ข้อควรระวังในการจากที่พี่จอยสลินนะครับข้อควรระวังในการตีพิมพ์หลักๆก็คือในส่วนของการเลือกนะครับวารสารนะครับวัตถุประสงค์และขอบเขตงานวิจัยนะครับ aim and scope ที่จะค่อนข้างสำคัญเพราะว่าถ้าเราเลือกแล้วมันไม่ได้มีความเหมาะสมกับเมนูสคริปต์ของเราไม่ว่าทั้งการตีพิมพ์วารสารหรือว่าหนังสือก็แล้วแต่นะครับก็จะทำให้การถูก reject เนี่ยมีมากขึ้นถูกไหมครับพี่จอยสลินเท่าที่
ถูกต้องค่ะ
ครับก็แล้วso how many like maximum or minimum for one keyword that we need to use for the reference like neuroscience something that I put like 3 references, is that enough, or 5 references, is that too much or something?
I think it just depends, because I think sometimes, and I can't say the specific number for references. I know that journals do have a limit of references, but I can't say, only use 3 or only use 5. That's a good number. It's best to make sure that you cite all your work. So if you need to use more than 5, then you need to use more than 5. But just make sure that you're within the limit. In terms of for books, as a book editor, we don't really have a specific number of limit. We want to make sure that you've cited it correctly. And the only reason why is that for books is a little different than journals, because journals has a limited word count. They can't publish huge number of works, and that's why books comes in, because books has a little bit larger grace. We can print more, and that helps with references. So some of my books do have a lot of references just because it needs and requires that. It also establishes your credibility in the field. So if you cite very little, that means that the citations you used all come from that one source. And from the slides earlier, I mentioned as one of the tips is don't overuse just one or two sources. You want to vary your source. You want to kind of go out and look at different resources, because different articles and different manuscripts have different opinions. So you definitely, and different perspectives. So you definitely want to go and look at all those resources before deciding which one. Definitely as a tip, do not overuse just one or two. You want to kind of show some varying points of that.
ครับก็อย่างที่พี่จอยสลินเขาได้กล่าวไปนะครับก็คือการเลือกตัวอ้างอิงจะค่อนข้างสำคัญมากๆเพราะว่าบางทีเนี่ยคนอย่างอีดิเตอร์เขาอ่านเขาก็จะมองว่าเอ้ยมันสอดคล้องไหมนะครับอย่าคิดว่าเขาไม่ได้เข้ากลับไปดูในส่วนของตัวอ้างอิง reference ด้านหลังนะครับเขาจะเข้าไปเช็คว่าตัวที่เรานำมาอ้างอิงเนี่ยเนี่ยมันมีความสอดคล้องกันไหมแล้วมันจำเป็นที่ต้องอ้างอิงเยอะขนาดนั้นเพื่อเอาผลอ้างอิงมาซัพพอร์ตกับสิ่งที่เรากำลังอ้างอิงขนาดไหนเพราะฉะนั้นนอกจากที่เราจะต้องระวังในการเลือกการตีพิมพ์แล้วตัวการอ้างอิงหรือการตัวการเลฟเนี่ยครับเราจะต้องระมัดระวังในการอ้างอิงนึงเพราะบางทีอย่างที่กล่าวไปนะครับมันไม่ได้สอดคล้องหรือนะครับบางทีมันไม่ได้เกี่ยวข้องอะไรเลยเขาก็เอามาแค่นัมเบอร์ของปริมาณของการอ้างอิงหรือเปล่าไม่ใช่คุณอยู่ๆคุณก็ใส่มาเพราะว่าส่วนตัวผมนะครับจากที่เป็นประสบการณ์ที่เคยเป็นนักวิจัยผมก็เคยบังเอิญว่าเหมือนตัวที่ผมเอาไปอ้างอิงผมก็ลืมสังเกตเหมือนกันว่าพอเข้าไปอ่านคอนเท็กซ์จริงๆแล้วหรือว่าเนื้อหาจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยมันไม่ได้มีความเกี่ยวข้องก็อาจจะโดนมีโอกาสในการถูก reject เนื่องจากมันไม่ได้มีความสอดคล้องกับตัว reference ขนาดนั้นครับผม
ขออนุญาตถามได้ไหมคะ
ครับผม
อาจารย์สามมิติค่ะคือเคยได้ยินมาว่าคือเราถ้าจะได้รับการตีพิมพ์อย่างเงี้ยต้องลงreference แบบเป็นพวกท่านหนังสือหรืออะไรที่เป็น big name ของอย่างเงี้ยจะได้รับการพิจารณาเยอะกว่าใช่ไหมคะเป็นแบบ reference ที่เป็นพวกที่เป็น big name หรือว่าเป็นผู้
วารสารที่มีชื่อเสียงประมาณนั้นใช่ไหมครับหรือว่าเป็นหนังสือมีชื่อเสียง
หรือว่าเป็นบุคคลที่มีชื่อเสียงเวลาที่เรา reference ก็จะได้เขาก็จะได้เห็นว่าเราอ่านหนังสือที่มันมีคุณภาพอยู่อะไรประมาณนี้ยังเป็นอย่างนั้นไหมคะ
I suggest to put a mix in. Don't just focus on all the big name journals or the big name authors. You want to have a good mix, because if you only focus on the journals, and I know when I worked as in journals, a lot of submissions will come in and they will reference that specific journal, right? So if you just submit Cell Press, a lot of times the manuscript will have a lot of Cell Press journals cited. It is nice. It's nice to know that you're reading the journal, but you want to pick the citation that is best for you. That could be a good mix. A lot of the times now, and when I know I mentioned in one of my slides about diversity and geography, you want to make sure that you're referencing the sources also within your geography as well. For instance, let's say you are submitting a manuscript specifically about the region of Southeast Asia, right? You're not going to reference Europe, a lot of European studies, right? You want to reference those studies within the Southeast Asia region. So you want to have a mix. You can say that, you have one from Europe because you're using that as a foundation or fundamental process, right? That why you want to stay within the Southeast Asian region because your study is about that region. So you want to kind of get a good mix. Understandably, sometimes it's some of the journals that or the articles that you are citing or the references you're citing are not very big name, but it's okay, because as long as it's cited correctly, as long as you have a good variation, it will meet those needs.
Thank you very much.
ค่ะ
Another question from my side. Sorry, JOSLYN.
Yeah.
Do we have to like avoid like doing self citations? Should we avoid to do that? Like, or we can do?
You can use self-citation. The only thing is you don't want to overuse it. So I understand, I do have some authors that they write a lot. That's just how they do. They have a very high H index and they write a lot. But the thing is, you don't want to overuse it. So I would very limit it in terms of limit. I would consider very carefully whether you're citing yourself or you have another resource that is, I wouldn't say better, but more established in it. So you want to look at all of the angles, because if you cited yourself 15 times in one article, then that's a little overuse, but you can limit it down and mix that around. So just be aware, because self-citation for us as publishers, then we take to look at, okay, you're self-citing yourself. That means your your index is going to grow because you're course citing yourself. So it's a true benefit for you. But at the same time, are you the only authoritative person in this field? If there is someone higher, then you want to make sure that you also cite them and yourself, right? You can grow yourself, but at the same time, make sure that you're credible in the field by giving a higher credential to somebody else, the reference to someone else as well. So I don't say do not cite yourself. Definitely cite yourself if it is required and you have wrote that paper and you did write that context at the manuscript. But at the same time, make sure that you don't overuse it.
Thank you so much. Like, ก็นะครับก็อย่างที่พี่จอยสลินเขาได้กล่าวไปก็คืออย่าพยายามที่จะเซลฟ์ไซเตชันเยอะมากนะจริงๆทำได้ครับทำได้แต่ว่าถ้ามันมีความสอดคล้องจริงๆเพราะว่าสมมติคนอย่างอีดิเตอร์เขาเข้ามาอ่านเขาก็จะดูว่าเฮ้ยมันมีเปอร์เซ็นต์ไซเตชันเซลฟ์ไซเตชันเนี่ยเยอะเกินไปไหมก็คืออ้างอิงผลงานตัวเองถ้ามันเกี่ยวข้องจริงๆก็พอให้ได้แน่นอนแต่ถ้ามันรู้สึกว่ามันไม่ใช่แล้วคุณเข้ามาปั๊มไซเตชันหรือเปล่าเขาก็จะมีพิจารณาซึ่งทางeditor ก็จะมีในโปรแกรมสำหรับตรวจสอบ so we have like the tools to examine or investigate the self citation percentage, right? Like,
yes, we do.
ครับก็อาจจะต้องระมัดระวังนิดนึงว่าถ้ามันเกินกี่เปอร์เซ็นต์หรือว่าอะไรก็แล้วถ้ามันอย่างที่กล่าวไปถ้ามันมากเกินไปนะครับก็อาจจะต้องระมัดระวังกันสักนิดนึงนะครับก็ระหว่างตอนนี้ใครมีคำถามตรงไหนสงสัยเพิ่มเติมไหมครับก็วันนี้หวังว่าทุกท่านนะครับก็จะได้ข้อมูลนะครับเกี่ยวกับการเลือกการตีพิมพ์นะครับหรือว่าเกี่ยวกับการตีพิมพ์หนังสือหรือว่าวารสารไปไม่มากก็น้อยนะครับก็สำหรับตอนนี้ใครมีคำถามเพิ่มเติมตรงไหนสงสัยไหมครับก็สามารถสอบถามได้เลยนะฮะเพราะว่าตอนนี้เรามีท่านอีดิเตอร์อยู่แล้วนะครับเพราะว่าปกติจะค่อนข้างเชิญมาค่อนข้างยากนิดนึงนะครับก็นี้เป็นโอกาสอันดีแล้วด้วยนะครับ
สวัสดีค่ะขออนุญาตสอบถามค่ะชื่อสุธีรานะคะค่ะจะสอบถามว่าในของ Elsevier นะคะมีแบบว่าตัวช่วยสำหรับออเตอร์แบบว่าในการแบบจะเลือกjournal ที่เหมาะสมนอกจากไอตัว journal find หรือในรายละเอียดของไอตัว journal finder นะคะมันมีแบบสามารถช่วยให้ออเตอร์บอกว่าเลือก journal ได้ดีขึ้นยังไงบ้างอะไรเงี้ยค่ะอยากให้แนะนำนิดนึงค่ะ
So Journal Finder, it's the best way to use it is to input keywords or your title or your part of your abstract in there, and it would find journals that match that. It's a great tool to use to find a list of journals. So it will provide you with, you know, maybe 5 to 10 journals that meet those requirements, because a lot of the times our journals overlap each other in different ways. They have varying audiences, but they overlap. So when using Journal Finder, use your keywords, type in all the keywords that you have, maybe your title to help. You can type in, you can even search for an editor if you have a specific editor you remember. And that editor could be on an editorial board, it could be associate editor, it could be volume editor, however it is. But if you're still confused with how many you get, I would contact the journal manager. So every journal there, if you look on the web page, you will find a contact information. Click on that, and then you will be directed to the journal manager. Provide them with your abstract, your keywords, and your title, and your information, and let them know that you are considering that journal. Do they think it's a good topic? This can help narrow down, so you're not having to submit to, you know, multiple journals and then get rejected because it's not within the scope. So contact them, email them the keywords again, the abstract and the title, and let them decide. Sometimes they have sister journals that might not be the main journal, but they have sister journals that they suggest you go to. They'll provide you with some suggestions. Also, sometimes we have special issues. So a lot of the times journals will have special issues that are very, very theme oriented. For example, for neuroscience, they might have something about brain anatomy, or something that is very specific to special issue type. And if you submit your abstract, it might be considered for the special issue that they're considering. So try to use the journal finder first, and then from there, if you have specific questions, contact the journal manager or even the publisher.
ครับก็หวังว่าจะตอบคำถามแต่ว่าเบื้องต้นนะครับก็ถ้าสมมุติว่าจะไม่ใช่ในส่วนของ Journal Finder นะครับก็อาจจะเป็นในส่วนของScopus นะครับก็สามารถใช้ได้เช่นเดียวกันนะครับเดี๋ยววินจะขออนุญาตแชร์สักครู่นะครับScopus นะฮะก็จริงๆในส่วนของScopus นะครับตัว Scopus ก็สามารถใช้ได้เช่นเดียวกันครับก็จริงตัว Scopus ถ้าสมมติว่าแต่ว่าผมก็ถ้าอันนั้นสำหรับวารสารที่อยู่ใน Elsevier อย่างเดียวถ้าเกิดเป็นใน Scopus ก็สามารถเข้ามาที่ในส่วนของ source นะครับแล้วก็มาดูที่ในส่วนของ subject area นะครับแล้วก็เข้าไปตัวที่subject area ที่มีความเกี่ยวข้องกับเรามากที่สุดนะครับเบื้องต้นนะครับแล้วก็มาดูในส่วนของ subject area นะครับเช่นสมมุติว่าเป็นในส่วน biochemistry แล้วก็เข้ามาดูว่าใน biochemistry เนี่ยมีอะไรบ้างเช่น cell biology cancer research อื่นๆ genetics นะครับmolecular biology ก็สามารถเข้ามาเลือกตัวที่เป็นspecific ได้เช่นเดียวกันนะครับอันนี้เป็นอีกทางหนึ่งครับผมก็เบื้องต้นเท่าที่ผมเห็นเหมือนจะมีอีกคำถามหนึ่งนะครับอีกคำถามหนึ่งเขาถามว่าเราจะทราบได้อย่างไรว่าวารสารที่เราลงไปไม่ได้หลุดฐานของ Scopus เดี๋ยวอันนี้ผมขออนุญาตเป็นคนตอบแทนนะฮะก็เบื้องต้นนะครับเราจะรู้ได้อย่างไรว่าวารสารนั้นไม่ได้จะหลุดจากของ Scopus นะครับเบื้องต้นนะครับสมมุติว่าเราเข้าไปในผมเลือกเซลล์แล้วกันฮะเลือกวารสารที่ชื่อว่าเซลล์นะครับวิธีการดูนะครับก็คือเราก็เข้ามาที่คำว่า size score rank and trend นะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นเปเปอร์ใดก็ตามนะครับเมื่อเข้าไปคลิกที่หน้าวารสารนั้นๆแล้วนะครับหลังจากนั้นก็คลิกคำว่า size score rank and trend นะครับแล้วเลื่อนมาดูข้างล่างครับจะเห็นกราฟนี้นะครับถ้ากราฟ
Yoottapong,
นี้
I think you have to share your screen again.
Oh sorry okay sorry so shy okay here you are โอเคครับนี่ก็นะครับสมมติผมคลิกเข้ามาหน้าที่วารสารที่ชื่อว่าเซลล์นะครับแล้วผมก็เลื่อนลงมาดูข้างล่างนะครับปกติมันจะขึ้นหน้าคำว่า size score เราคลิกคำว่า size score rank and trend นะครับแล้วเลื่อนลงมาดูจะเห็นว่าด้านขวาตรงนี้ฮะจะมีคำว่า size score value นะครับแล้วก็ดูที่ปีนะครับถ้าตัวในส่วนของ size score ตัวกราฟของเราเนี่ยเริ่มลดลงเรื่อยๆหรือว่าคงที่ยังพอได้แต่ถ้าเริ่มลดลงเรื่อยๆหมายความว่าวารสารนั้นเนี่ยอาจจะเริ่ม หมดคุณภาพและหรืออาจจะไม่ได้มีการพัฒนามากขึ้นนะครับถ้ามันมีค่าที่ต่ำลงเรื่อยๆนะครับทางในส่วนของสกอร์ปัสเนี่ยก็อาจจะถูกนำไปพิจารณาอีกรอบนะครับว่าจะยังคงอยู่บนฐานของสกอร์ปัสหรืออาจจะถูกถอดออกเนื่องด้วยวารสารอาจจะมีคุณภาพที่ต่ำลงนั่นเองนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นวิธีการสังเกตนะครับถ้าให้มาดูที่กราฟสีฟ้าตรงนี้นะฮะถ้ากราฟตรงนี้มีค่าต่ำลงเรื่อยๆนะครับก็ให้พิจารณาเบื้องต้นว่าอาจจะไม่แนะนำให้ส่งนะครับแต่ว่าอย่างไรก็ตามนะครับก็อาจจะต้องดูว่าค่ามันต่ำกว่าไซส์สกอร์เช่นไซส์สกอร์มันต่ำกว่า1เรื่อยๆหรือเปล่านะครับซึ่งถ้าไซส์สกอร์ต่ำกว่า1เรื่อยๆก็หมายความว่านะครับถ้าเรามาดูการคำนวณนะฮะดูจากไซส์สกอร์ตรงนี้นะครับไซส์สกอร์เนี่ยปกติคำนวณจาก citation นะครับหารด้วยจำนวนบทความที่ถูกตีพิมพ์นะครับถ้ามันต่ำกว่า1หมายความว่าคนเนี่ยมาตีพิมพ์เยอะแต่การถูกอ้างอิงเนี่ยน้อยลงเรื่อยๆนะครับเมื่อเลขข้างบนน้อยลงเรื่อยๆเลขข้างล่างมากขึ้นเรื่อยๆจะทำให้เลขโดยรวมเนี่ยต่ำลงเรื่อยๆหมายความว่าวารสารนั้นเริ่มไม่มีคนมาอ้างอิงเพราะฉะนั้นก็อาจจะให้มองว่าวารสารนั้นเริ่มมีคุณภาพที่ต่ำลงเรื่อยๆโดยพิจารณาจากตัวเทรนด์ตัวแรงของกราฟตัวนี้นะครับถ้ามันต่ำลงเบื้องต้นนะครับก็อาจจะเขาเรียกว่าอาจจะยังไม่ส่งให้ไปส่งวารสารอื่นที่มีแรงที่อาจจะสูงกว่านั่นเองนะครับอย่างในกรณีเราจะเห็นว่าสมมติเลือกว่าเซลล์แล้วดูว่ามันอยู่ที่ลำดับที่1ลำดับที่2จาก212สมมุตินะครับว่ามันเริ่มตกแล้วก็อาจจะให้ดูลำดับของวารสารนะครับที่สูงขึ้นมากกว่านั้นเพื่อพิจารณาในการส่งการตีพิมพ์มากกว่าที่จะพิจารณาอันนี้นะครับถ้าตัวกราฟนี้ต่ำลงนะครับ
ครับ
ครับมีคำถามเพิ่มเติมไหมครับโอเคครับผมว่าน่าจะไม่มีคำถามแล้วนะครับก็วันนี้ก็ thank you so much พี่ JOSLYN for having a good session for author workshop Thailand today. We had a lot of information about publishing journals and for the book publishings. So thank you a lot for this time.
ขอบคุณมากนะคะ
ครับขอบคุณ
สวัสดี
มาก
ค่ะ
นะครับครับผมคุณจอยลืมเปิดไมค์หรือเปล่าฮะ
ค่ะค่ะวันนี้ก็ต้องขอบพระคุณนะคะ อาจารย์ทุกท่านเลยนะคะ ที่มาเข้าร่วมอบรมกับทางห้องสมุดนะคะ แล้วก็ขอบพระคุณนะคะทางคุณวินนะคะดร.ยุทธพงศ์กลิ่นธงชัยแล้วก็คุณโจสลินนะคะ ที่มาอบรมให้ความรู้นะคะ กับคณาจารย์ของมสวทุกท่านเลยนะคะ ก็ถ้าเกิดว่าวันนี้นะคะก็ขอจบการอบรมเพียงเท่านี้นะคะ ก็เดี๋ยวจะส่งบันทึกการอบรมย้อนหลังให้ทางอีเมลของผู้เข้าร่วมอบรมทุกท่านอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะ แล้วก็จะส่งแบบประเมินให้อีกครั้งหนึ่งค่ะ ขอบพระคุณมากๆค่ะ
ครับ
ขอบคุณ
สวัสดี
ค่ะ
ครับ
สวัสดี
แล้วเดี๋ยว
ครับ
ในส่วนของ
สวัสดีค่ะ
สไลด์เดี๋ยวผมส่งให้อีกทีนะครับ
ค่ะ
ค่ะ
ครับ
ได้
ขอบ
ค่ะ
คุณมากค
แล้
รับ
วก็
พี่
เดี๋ยวจะส่ง
JOSLYN
ให้
thank you
ค่ะ
so much
thank you bye bye
ครับบ๊ายบายครั
ค่ะ
บ
ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณครับ